Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 285.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, I want to give you 800,000 thank yous because we just reached 800,000 downloads, which I feel so grateful, so thankful that our listeners have downloaded Be Wealthy and Smart over 800,000 times. That is so awesome. Thank you. When I started the podcast, I really didn't know. How is it going to go? Are people going to like it? What topics do they want to hear about? And then all of a sudden, I just had that mental breakthrough where the block was removed and I realized, are you kidding me? There's thousands and thousands and thousands of things to podcast about. You don't have to worry about running out of topics. There's all kinds of topics. And so some come from my personal experience, some come from being with friends, some come from listeners like you, and others come from some great articles that I read that I curate and pick out certain ones that I think are helpful for listeners. And I just want to thank you for being a listener, for being a supporter, and I just really am so grateful. Really, I truly am. One thing that has so amazed me is that we are listened to in over 171 countries. So it truly is a global podcast. That was my dream from the very beginning, was to really get the word out that yes, you can build wealth for yourself. Yes, it's possible. Doing the right things, having the right habits, having the right mindset, following the 6 steps to wealth. These are all things that can really help you build wealth. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, hopefully you've listened to many, many of the podcasts and you've gone all the way back to the beginning of the library and seen all of the 6 steps to wealth and all of the things, the tools that I've given you to really help you move forward. If you're brand new to the podcast, and maybe this is even the first podcast you've ever listened to of Be Wealthy and Smart, then thank you for being here. And I hope that you see that there are tons and tons of podcasts to listen to. And today I'm going to highlight some of the ratings and reviews that people have left because I like to share what listeners are saying about the show. It's so important to hear what you have to say, and that's how I get to know you, is by hearing your comments and thoughts about the show. So we're going to move over to listen to some of the reviews today and see if this is also how you feel about the show, or maybe you have some different thoughts, in which case I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about the show, what you think, and any suggestions that you have as well. So here we are. A review from Brooke Craven, who says, awesome podcast, and rates it 5 stars. Linda, host of Be Wealthy and Smart, highlights all aspects of investing in this can't-miss podcast. Linda and her expert guests offer insightful advice that is helpful to anyone that listens. Hey, thanks, Brooke. That's really sweet, and I appreciate the nice rating. The next one comes from TumZX2 and says, Wealth Mentor 5 stars. Miss Jones is very knowledgeable in finance and optimistic for anyone becoming wealthy. The advice given to the general public or her audience is very beneficial and has the opportunity to enhance anyone's financial future provided that they, quote, investors/audiences, are disciplined and have the courage and commitment to meet their goals and objectives. The information/podcasts that Miss Jones published to the general population as of this date have improved my views on other types of investments, given me resources to make a sound decision on my finances, but more importantly, gave me the wisdom and courage to fulfill my long overdue desire of becoming financially independent. Miss Jones, as a husband, father/military veteran, you inspire me very much for the unique skills and abundant knowledge of finance that you have shared to the public. Thank you very much for what you have done and are still doing today. You have become my mentor, and I am glad to discover your podcast to include the other panels that you are involved with. That is so cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And it's really cool to have people in the military listen. I love having men and women listen to the podcast. And the most important thing is to put what you're learning into action. And it sounds like you're really doing that and allowing me to be your wealth mentor. So thank you. The next review is from Homer_AZ. And it says the upper side of financial podcasting, and it's a 5-star rating. I really enjoy the nice slant on the wealthier side of personal finance. Some of the detailed investing shows are interesting to me, but I love the life/lifestyle/perspective shows related to my life in FIRE. It gives me something to think about after the show. Not that many podcasts do that for me. I say, learn from Linda. Thank you, Homer in Arizona. I appreciate that. And I think there's some good podcasts out there. And yes, it's important to be able to apply a lot of the things that you learn on a podcast. One of the things that I find frustrating is that sometimes interview shows don't give you a lot of things that are actionable or things that you can actually do yourself. So I love the fact that you are able to put this into practice. The next review is from Garden PT, and it's titled So Motivating, rated 5 stars. And it says, I cannot wait for each new podcast to come out. I've been very motivated to fix my financial issues, aka too much debt, since discovering this. Great advice and tips. Well, thank you, Garden PT. I super appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you're putting the advice to work. And I hope that it's going to help you get out of debt. I do have some really great episodes on fixing your credit, getting out of debt, and the podcasts that I have done about debt, I hope you enjoy, and I know they're going to help you. Our next review comes from Shanta and says, great podcast, 5 stars. She says, I love the ability to understand more about my finances. Thank you. Awesome. I'm so glad that it's helpful for you. Our next review comes from Newer Writer. Rates the podcast 5 stars and says, love these podcasts. Goes on to say, I recently came across Linda's podcast series and am hooked. Unlike some financial podcasts, which can go on for an hour or more, Linda's are short and to the point with direct, practical advice. I love the variety of topics covered, and I'm now going back and listening to those I missed when I didn't know about this gem. Well, thank you, Newer Writer. I super appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you found the podcast. Yes, some of them are very long, and I know your time is super valuable, so I want to make them short, punchy, to the point, without a lot of rambling and miscellaneous talk that just isn't going to help you. So I'm super glad that you found it, and I'm super glad that you like this short, highly valuable podcast and that you're putting them into practice. And if you haven't yet left me a review, I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't yet gotten your 11 quick financial tips to boost your wealth, go to my website at lindapjones.com and pick up your free 1-page report on how to get your net worth growing. And if we haven't connected on social media, I would love to connect with you on Instagram and Twitter at Linda P. Jones and on Facebook at Linda P. Jones fan page. And again, I'm super grateful to you for listening and for loving the Be Wealthy and Smart podcast. I do it for you. You're the reason I'm here. Thank you so much for 800,000 downloads. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.